Good morning, good morning, good morning. Yes, we are live. Here we are again. It is Thursday morning. How do these Thursday mornings keep turning up? You just think you've done one and you've got a whole week, and then all of a sudden it's sort of racing to catch up with you again. And here we are again. Not that I mind it racing up, it's just that I worry sometimes that time just slips away, doesn't it? It's 1 minute at 10 o'clock in the morning, and then you look up and it's like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and you wonder where on earth time went. Right. So, good morning, everybody. Here we are. The spirit world sees all. I just realised I'm clanking. It's just my bracelet clanking. I'm sitting at a table here. Right. So, before we begin, first of all, I'd like to say good morning to my spirit guide, Regal, he's been so busy this week. He really, really has been busy this week. Anyway, he is standing to my right side. You know that when I say he's been busy, that means, I guess, that I've been busy as well, that's great. So, good morning to Greg Eagle. He's laughing at me. I'd like to say good morning to Chris, wherever she is, and I would like to say good morning to all of you. Thank you for joining us. I know we have to wait a little while because I know it takes some of you a little while to sort of get going or to come in, or some of you forget and then all of a sudden you realise, wait a minute, the show's on. So we do like to take a few minutes to sort of give everybody time to join us. But Chris, how are we doing so far?
Good morning, Rosemary. We have a few people already in the chat room. Leslie's asking a question already. Gary's got a couple of comments.
Morning, Gary.
Wayne and Barb are on. Dean is on. So they're raring to go.
Good. Okay. All right. So, yes, let's get Gary out of the way. Not that I really want to get him out of the way, but let's get Gary's comments. I'm interested in Gary's comments.
All right. So Gary says, thought for the day.
Uh-oh.
Do something today to deserve your sunset.
I like that. I do like that thought. Does it count if I did something yesterday to deserve my sunset? And funnily enough, although I did not see this sunset, a very good friend of mine who is in Greece was in Greece a couple of days ago, I think now is in Italy, sent me a picture of what I think was a sunset. It could have been a sunrise, but I think it was a sunset. And gosh, what a beautiful picture it was. It was really, really glorious. Aren't we wonderful to have this world of ours to be so beautiful and so, well, in some places so awful, but yet still beautiful? I mean, look at this planet of ours. Do we ever stop to actually think about the planet? I know that mostly I don't. Do we ever stop to think of, I always say if an alien from Mars, let's say, were to pick up the phone and call me, and I would say hello, I think probably the first thing he would want to do is say, so tell me, what is this world of yours like? And of course, people ask me that question all the time. What is the spirit world like? What does it look like over there? When we're going through time and space, it looks a bit like this black hole to us, but we know, those of us who have traveled, we know that it isn't a black hole. We know that there's so much more beyond that time and space that we will see at some point. But fortunately, I've traveled, so people ask me often, what is it like? What is it like when you get over there? And I suppose people expect, just like the alien from Mars would expect, I suppose they would like a nice, pat, easy description. But as with the alien from Mars, I would say to that alien, well, which part of our world would you like to know about? Because we have places where there are mountains, we have places where there are cavernous places, we have places where it's arid, we have places where it rains most of the time. We're thinking of England, perhaps, maybe. not that it rains in England that much, but it is definitely cold and windy and rainy in that country. Where are we? Are we going to describe the pyramids at Giza in Egypt, or are we going to, the jungles of Africa? Where are we where are we going? I'm thinking Machu Picchu. I'm thinking of all the places that I've been to Greece, to Italy, to South Africa. I was describing to my grandson the other day my experience in South Africa, where they had actually they'd taken a volcano and they'd somehow, don't ask me how, I mean, I'm not technical in these things, but they'd scooped out the insides of this volcano, and they'd literally made sort of like a village. There was sand, there was sea, there was a beach in one area, there was the most incredible waterfalls. Some of you might know where I'm talking about now. Beautiful place, but all man-made. What am I describing about this world of ours? Am I describing the poverty that I saw in Egypt? What about the poverty in India? I mean, I can remember when I was in Egypt. I know it's a weird thing I'm going to tell you, but at some point I wanted to try to photograph the appalling poverty that was there, the dirt and the scum on the River Nile. We always think of the River Nile as being a beautiful river, but trust me, it's a scummy, dirty river in places. Very long river, but in places it's scummy and dirty. And I'm sort of trying to photograph the poverty and I guess the dirt. But the weird thing is that you cannot really photograph it because it doesn't, when you photograph it, it doesn't actually show in the same way that visually that you can see it. I suppose along with the visual are the smells and the noise and all the things you hear and smell and all of that, the taste of the food there and so on and so forth, all go to make up the different areas of this world of ours. And when I've been talking about this, I mean, I've only covered a little tiny thumbnail bit of this world of ours. There are so many extraordinary things. There are so many just wonderful, incredible things, natural things, and then there are the seven wonders of the world, and on and on. Do we ever look at this world of ours and see it as something beautiful and incredible, and I always feel, and as a gift for all of us, because here we are in this world of ours. Some of us, many of us, especially these days, have a chance to explore, to travel, to view different parts of the world, and many of us are just in our own environment. If you could describe your environment, I mean, looking at each of you individually, if you could describe your environment, what would be the best of it and what would be the worst of it? Maybe we should have a little competition to see who lives in the best place and who lives in the worst place. What do you think, Chris?
I think it's all in the eye of the beholder.
It certainly is. All right. So why don't we start with Gary's comments? I'm hoping that more people have signed on. Come on now. And so I think we should get started.
All right. Gary says, I worked in hospice. Relatives and friends who have passed come to help in the transition. That's great comfort in knowing that.
I think it is. And I think that, you have to, I think we talk about hospice. I think if you have the right people there, I think it can be really a fabulous experience. And I think that those people who dedicate themselves to working in that area, and I know, Gary, that you have done a lot of this. I think people who dedicate themselves to that end, I'm talking the nurses and the doctors, and not just the nurses and the doctors, the families of the patients, who come and help, and they don't just help their own family member, but they help, with the nurses, they help with other patients as well. I mean, I think that's a wonderful way to have that transition. There are so many people I know, because I've been to so many people's houses in the past, so many people who don't have that and who actually die alone. But I always I know absolutely that not one of us ever does die alone, because there are always our angels, there are always our family members who are waiting, there are always people in the spirit world who are there waiting to help us in that transitional moment, to help to take us across that void, let's say, and to the other side, whatever the other side might be. Right, Chris?
Well, Leslie had asked, my mother has gone into a hospice. I hope she doesn't have to suffer much longer. Who do you see coming to get her?
Oh, well, Leslie, thank you for the question. And um, excuse me, I like the fact that you're concerned for your mum. I think that's wonderful. I'm not sure because, yeah, I don't know you, and as most of you know, I don't do that quick off. I could I could tell you easily. I could make it up if as we go along, but I'm not going to do that. But I do know absolutely, with absolute certainty, and Grey Hill has put his hand on my shoulder when I'm saying this to you, that she does have her angels with her, and who, right? Sorry, thought that was the end of it. So she has her angels with her, who I'm told will lift her very gently, very carefully towards her family, those who have gone before her in the spirit world. You asked, you hope that she won't, let's say, suffer for too much longer. Um, you know, none of us wants our family to suffer. We want those that we love and those that we know are in this situation, we want them to have a peaceful passing. I actually think, Leslie, that your mommy is going to have a peaceful passing. She might have a little bit of a struggle to get there, a little bit longer to get there, but I think her passing will be, in fact, beautiful and peaceful. And I think that, you can look forward to that. Chris?
All right, this is from Mark. Mark has been recovering in a hospital stay for the last 2 weeks.
Hi, Mark.
His body went into shock and cardiac arrest from lack of potassium. He had to rush himself to the ER. Um, but then a dear friend of his passed the other day named Mike. So he's questioning, has Mike made it over? I know his suffering is no more.
Yes, and when you say that, Mark, when we're talking about Mike, Grable tells me that he did have a real struggle prior to his passing. So when you say that he's suffering no more, you can be absolutely certain of that. And yes, I'm told he did make it over, and I'm told to tell you that he's fine. I hope that you're taking care of yourself. Now, lack of potassium. This tells me that you're not paying attention properly to your diet, Mark, and you know we can't have that. We want you well and we want you healthy. I think that there are so many people who don't realize how much, I'm thinking of other things that we need in our body too. So often as we get older, we can lose. I'm thinking, what are the fruits and vegetables that you can eat for potassium? I'm thinking, I can come up with the mince of bananas, which are really, really good for you. But also magnesium, we have to watch our magnesium levels. And, I think it's always a good thing for us to have a checkup on these things. The problem with having checkups with doctors, and I know this from personal experience because I've just been going through it, is, they always find something, don't they? They always find something that they might want to prescribe a little pill for. And I'm dead set against little pills for anything. But I think it is a good thing as we get older to get yourself checked out, and maybe to take vitamins, multivitamins, that sort of thing, just to take care of ourselves as we get older. We're so used, I think, so many of us, to always taking care of other people and always thinking about other people, and we forget about ourselves. And as I am getting, close to 90 years old, I'm lying to you now, you know that. But I'm getting, I'm not that far away, but I think, how old will Reese be when I'm 90? I sort of think, so anyway, when we get closer to our old age and we start to think of, our body starts to sort of wind down a bit. For all of us, it starts to wind down. And some of us are luckier than others, and I consider myself to be one of the lucky ones, because when I was in my late teens and early 20s was when my body started to sort of halt, if you like. I had all sorts of issues, problems, kidney issues, so on and so forth. And then, having babies was not easy. I was telling somebody the other day, 9 months of bed rest when you're pregnant is not good for you necessarily, because what it does do, if nothing else, it puts weight on. And I was like a rugby player when I was ready to have my daughter, when she was ready to pop out of me. So it's not just when you're older that you have to take care of yourself, but as you get older, we need to pay. I think we need to pay more attention. And it was quite funny this morning because my daughter's getting ready for work. She's got some nice shoes on. Her heels are probably 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches, but not high heels, not really high. And I was in the bedroom sort of getting dressed, and she came in to give me a hug, bye-bye. And we've always been exactly the same size, 5'6" and a little bit. I don't know, in quarter or something like that. And sort of often if the two of us was, for instance, standing at the sink with our backs to people would come in, and they would really, because I used to be that skinny too, they used to wonder the only thing they could tell the difference was Samantha's blonde hair and my dark hair. And it's like, we were the same height, same weight, same everything. Unfortunately, it's not the case anymore. But she came to give me a hug this morning, and she towered over me. I felt like this little dwarf. She said, "Mum, you're so short." I said, "It's your heels." She said, "No, it isn't." So I'm came into the living room and standing there, and that wonderful scene in The Wizard of Oz where the Wicked Witch of the North gets water thrown on her for some reason, and she stands there and she starts to shrivel up, and this voice is saying, "I'm shrinking, I'm shrinking." So I stood in the middle of the living room. I said to Samantha, "I'm shrinking, I'm shrinking." Anyway, so where were we? Oh yes, so as we get older, we should pay more attention to our health. And Mark, I want to report. You better report to me how you're doing, how you're feeling, and what the doctors are saying, please. Right, Chris.
He had added that the lack of potassium came from the medical doctor who put him on 2 dietetics and forgot to put him on the potassium.
See, you've got to be your own advocate. I'm a great believer in this, and often with my patients over the years, if they've not been able to speak up for themselves, and I've had many patients like that, then they allow me to be their advocate. And you couldn't wish for a better advocate than me, because I want to know everything about everything in the details. And sometimes in the past, I've definitely upset doctors and nurses and sometimes I remember going into a hospital once where the matron of the hospital thought she knew everything until I went in there, and basically they'd done something really awful to my patient who was in their hospital, so their patient as well, thinking that they knew everything. And don't misunderstand me. I am not saying bad things about doctors and nurses, because they are fantastic. And I would not be alive today if I hadn't had an amazing surgeon, if I hadn't had amazing doctors and nurses, if I hadn't had absolutely phenomenal care, which I did have. So I really admire anyone in the medical profession, dedicated and so on. But that does not mean because you've got to wearing a white coat or a nurse's uniform that you know everything. And it's up to us to be our own advocate, and also to be an advocate for the people who are in our care. And that means sometimes upsetting those doctors or nurses who don't want to answer your questions, which should be very reasonable, and they should be willing and open to answer those questions for us. So, you know, I remember when my daughter was carrying Reese and I went to see her obstetrician, and I know that he didn't like me very much because I was making sure that my daughter was safe and that he was aware of the things that were going to happen to her during pregnancy. Of course, he brushed me off and said, just because it happened to you doesn't mean it's going to happen to her. Well, guess what? What happened to me did happen to her. Luckily, she changed her obstetrician by this time, so we were fine. But still, be your own advocate, please. Always don't never be afraid to ask the difficult questions of your doctors and insist that they give you the answers. Chris, that's it. I'm done my preaching for the day. Right, it wouldn't be the show, would it, if I wasn't having a go at something or somebody. Right, go ahead.
Well, we had both Judith and Wayne answering your question about the positives and negatives of this world. Judith says that PBS has done a good job of showing the poverty in Egypt, India, and so many other places. And Wayne says benefits of living on a First Nation, the lakes, the loons, the stars, and connected to the land. The down part is alcohol and drugs are abundant. Kids are
Yes.
suffering because their parents have gone down the wrong road.
Well, I don't know if people are aware of this, but and this information was given to me when I was up in Canada once and talking to a doctor who was very involved with the Native American community, and you know, often people look at the Native American community and with drugs and alcohol, which those people are very susceptible to, and we look down at them for this. But in fact, there is something in their gene pool which makes them much more susceptible to the effects of alcohol and drugs than the rest of us. So it's not just them making a choice, it's them being susceptible to the effects of the alcohol and the drugs. And, you know, so when we're talking about the Native American community, we have to understand that there's more to what's going on with them than meets the eye. It's not about necessarily making choices. If you know, if you get someone else, for instance, on the streets of New York, you get people who are choosing drugs, not just New York, but everywhere in the world. People choosing drugs and people choosing alcohol, and you see that they're making these choices, and you know they're indulging in a way. They're indulging when they first begin. Let's try this, let's try that. This is fun. This is fun. Often starts in college for some people. But with the Native American community, they're, you know, yes, they might begin thinking this is okay, or they might begin because they're offered alcohol, perhaps even when before their teen years. But their responses and reactions are very different, and they're much more susceptible to becoming addicted than most of us are. So, you know, I'm glad, Wayne, that you mentioned that, but I'm also glad that you mentioned the beautiful skies and the lakes, the rivers, and so on and so forth, because I think that, you know, we can go down that road, and we have to look and see what is wrong with our world, and if we can make a difference, or if we can put things right and so on. But we also can't forget, and we mustn't forget, the beauty of this world also. Okay, Chris.
Lorraine had remarked after hearing Mark's story that after bypass surgery, her husband was given too much potassium in the hospital and he had a bad reaction. He was so
Yeah,
weak. And at
yeah,
least 5 doctors and nurses ran to him to regulate him. And it was just too much potassium they gave him that morning.
yeah. I mean, you know, we have to, obviously, this is why we need medical professionals, people to help us and to tell us what we need to take and what we don't need to take and so on, and sort of go for the supplements of the lack of in our diet. But you know, it's interesting because, you know, we think of a lack of, and of course, then there are the overdoses, because that's what it is. I gave him too much potassium means you overdosed him with potassium. That's what it means. That's what they're saying, although they perhaps won't use those words. But again, we have to be our own advocates, and that's important. We have to do that for ourselves, and also we need to do that for our loved ones who are incapable uh, of being their own advocate. Chris.
Judith wants me to mention the behavior of her cat. It baffles her. Rosemary may know why. Please ask.
I have no idea. Judith, I love you to pieces. I don't know why. What you need to tell me what's going on with the cat. What is significant or otherwise about the behavior of your cat? You need to tell me that. But anyway, moving on, Chris.
All right, this is from Connie. I'd like to ask about my 88-year-old mother, Janet. She insists on living with one of her 6 children, but we all agree she should stay where she is. She lives in an independent senior apartment. She constantly complains about health issues, but we can't find anything wrong. We don't know what is best for her.
Okay, now who is this person?
Connie.
Connie. Hi, Connie. Thank you for asking. I like this question. I'm not sure you're going to like the answer to this question, but I like this question. Okay, so right, so as long as your mother has all of her mental capacity intact, 88 is no different than 78, 68. I know I can hear you all saying, no, that's right, but let me finish. In that, if you, at whatever age, and I have known of someone who was in their way into their 90s, almost 100, who was as sharp as a tack and knew exactly what she wanted, how she wanted to do it, so on and so forth. Okay. I think the one thing that we have to remember, and it's also, sorry, going back and forth here a little bit, 88, and you can't find anything wrong with her, which is a bit of a ludicrous statement, really, because at 88, she's obviously got creaking bones. She's obviously got all sorts of stuff going on. I mean, you don't reach the age of 88 and feel like a spring chicken. If she's complaining about her aches and pains, it might just simply be that she just wants to share the fact that she's getting old and she doesn't know how to deal with it. And it is a struggle. I mean, when you get up in the morning and your back goes out for no reason whatsoever, if you have someone there to share it with, it's nice to share it. Even if they ignore you, or even if they think to themselves, oh, here she goes again, back trouble again, whatever. But if she has all of her faculties, if she's sharp and she is able to say what it is that she wants in her life, it would behove all of us to understand that old age does not mean incapacity, incapability. It does not mean that we become children all over again. If my daughter tried to treat me as a child at any age, then I'd give a short, sharp shrift, let me tell you, because even at 88, if this is what she feels like she wants to do, whether or not you think it's wise for her or best for her, she's an adult. And if she is clearly thinking and she knows what she wants, then we have to support that and help her to get what she wants, whether or not we agree. It's hard, I think, when we have children of our own and they, and they're small and they, and they're incapable of making up their own minds about things. As parents, that's our job. We help them to make up their mind about things, but then they get to a certain age where they are able to say what it is they want or don't want. They're able to say, for instance, I like carrots, but I don't like Brussels sprouts. Whatever it is, they're able to say at that age. And as we get older, and of course, then we become parents. Those kids become parents. It's so very easy to see our elderly as if they are old. And yes, they might be aged. They might be old in years, but there are so many people these days, old people, older people, aged people, who are not nearly as they used to be years ago, with better food, better dietary stuff, better care, better health care, so on and so forth. You know how they say that 40 is the new 30 or 50 is the new 40 or whatever it is. Well, maybe your mother feels 88 is the new 70, 77 or whatever. If she has all of her faculties, please don't, please don't. And it's not just you I'm saying this to, but to all of us, let's not treat our elderly as if they are stupid or if they are incapable of making up their own minds about things. Let's not take their power away from them. Because as we get older, we need that power to make our own decisions about things and to not feel useless and to not feel discarded. We should value our elders. We should value the aged because they have so much to teach us and they have so much wisdom. Talking about the Native American communities, they really do honor their elders. They honor their aged. And we should all of us try to do that. So if she has all of her faculties and she's able to make these decisions, my advice would be support her in it. You might find if you support her and you're not dead set against it and letting her know that you're not dead set against it, if you support her and you talk to her and you say whatever it is you feel is right for you will help you, whatever you want, you might find that she might not be quite so keen to hot foot over to that sibling of yours. You might find that she might start and think, if you talk to her and are reasonable with her, you might find that she'll start to become more swayed to your point of view. But it's our job to support our elderly, not to treat them as children, not to treat them as inconsequential, but to treat them as adults and to not take away their power. Because I think as we get older, the thing we fear the most is in getting older is for some child of ours to see us as a child and to take that power away from us. I would personally fight tooth and nail for anybody to take my power away from me, but well, that's just me. But we should support our elderly and help them to keep the power. Chris.
All right. Mark says, unsure if I've asked this question, but I'll ask it again. I know the other side is far different by so many factors, but I just can't imagine not having any wine in paradise and my favorite foods. Is that a possibility that we get to enjoy this when we pass because we are all spirit in the next life? Is there even a need to have our favorite cars? I know these are quite silly questions, but humor me. I need a good laugh.
Right. Well, I'll humor you and tell you that this world of ours, this amazing and wonderful and incredible world of ours, has become so materialistic over the centuries. Everything is about, listen to you, the favorite car or what have you. And let me tell you, I can just say this to you. There are better modes of transport than cars and motorbikes, and less pollution also, I can tell you that. So, I'm thinking of food. I made yesterday, we had leftover chicken and I made the best chicken patties. Unbelievable. They were tasted really great. And my daughter came home from work, and Reese and I were in the living room, and she went into the kitchen, and they were there, these chicken patties already and waiting for dinner. and, and of course they look like crab cakes, and the eye can be deceiving, right? So anyway, she came out of this, she went into the kitchen, she came out eating one of them, she picked it up and she was eating it. She said, "Oh Mum, these are these are good. What fish did you use?" And I said, "It's not fish, it's chicken." So she said, "No, come on, it isn't, it's fish." I said, "No, come on, it isn't, it's chicken." Anyway, she said, "Well, whatever it is, they taste really, really good." And she asked for the recipe. So when I'm in the kitchen and I'm cooking, it's really hard for me because I just am doing it as I'm going along and not necessarily taking note of what I'm doing. So then I have to remember, what did I put in and how much of this did I put in and so on. So I cobbled together sort of the recipe, and I'm hoping it's going to turn out okay for her. But anyway, where am I going with this? I have no idea why I'm talking about. Oh yes, I'm talking about food, because is the food in the spirit world? Well, I mean, let me put it this way. I hope I don't have to cook. I love cooking. I'm happy to cook, but I don't want it to be. I think there's so many more things to do, uh, to be around, to see, to explore. Uh, Maybe there's fish in the oceans there. Maybe there are fish in the rivers there. I don't know. Will we cook them, or will we see them as those beautiful little souls that they are? I'm done now. It's becoming ridiculous. Go, Chris.
All right. This is from Susan Mary. Any messages for me today, please? I'm wanting to build our retirement home and just don't know how it will actually happen with today's prices. Thank you and God bless.
Um, Okay, well, no messages from the spirit world, but definitely a message from Grey Eagle. Just and also from me, because I've done renovations and building for all of my life, and the one thing I can tell you is, as much as you think it's going to cost you, add on at least a half, if not double, what you think it's going to cost. However, you might have to scale down a little bit. You might have to change what you're doing a little bit. But if you want that retirement home, then just go for it. That would be my suggestion. Chris.
Judith's now giving us the issue about her cat. So her cat came into the house and
Yes.
cowered down. She looked around and turned around to run out. Judith didn't feel any bad vibes, but she wondered why she may have done that.
Well, cats and dogs are very, very perceptive. It's perhaps that she felt a presence and saw a present. It doesn't have to be a bad presence, but maybe it was just an unusual thing for the cat to encounter. Somebody else in the house who she didn't know, who's a stranger, or that sort of thing. Anyway, I would I would take it as a positive, not as a negative. And obviously, you have a very sensitive and perceptive kitten there, Chris.
This is from Lori. Please, do you have any message from my deceased husband? It's coming up to 5 years. Thank you.
Yes, well, as you all know, I don't usually do this, but Grey Eagle is pointing out a gentleman to me in the spirit world who has come to visit us today. Whether this is your husband or not, my darling, I don't know, but he's standing in front of me. He is describing. Hold on a second. So that's. Oh, right. So I'm probably going to get this not quite right, but I feel that he had health issues prior to his passing. However, these health issues were connected to his heart, to his blood flow or whatever's going on there. I was tempted at first to say thrombosis, but I'm not quite sure if that's exactly right. But when he passed, his passing was quite sudden and quite quick. He's blowing kisses, whether it's to me or to you, I don't know, but he's blowing kisses and sends his love. So that's as much as I can do with that right now. Chris.
Abigail wants to know, will you be coming to Italy soon?
As soon as somebody invites me to come to Italy to do a workshop or a lecture, I will be there hot foot. I will absolutely. I'd love to go back to Italy. You know, if you could, if anyone there is listening who is Italian, who you know, all you have to do is get hold of organizations that have speakers and have speaking events and so on, and you know, sort of investigate there. So if you want to investigate there, I'm open to coming. Absolutely, I would love to come. Yes.
This might be a good time to talk about your November 19th event as people are typing questions into the chat room.
Okay, all right. So on November the 19th, I will be live and in person, not live how we're doing it now, but live and in person in Venice, Florida, which is where I live. Those of you who are on our newsletter who decide that they might like to come and take a visit, we're going to be doing something after the event as well. We're not quite sure what yet. We might go for a coffee, or we might go for a meal or something, or you know, I'll be inviting people, or if that doesn't work out, possibly even coming to my home. Don't get too excited. I'm not, it depends how many people we're looking at here, but we're hoping to do that as well. Now, the event itself, okay, so when you're an audience and at an event of mine, I know that many in the audience come hoping for messages from the spirit world, and that's what we'll be doing. We'll be talking. I'll be talking to your loved ones in the spirit world. I'll be giving messages. We'll be talking about all sorts of things. Audience can ask questions. Any question any question you like, as long as I reserve the right to answer or not answer as I please. But it will be a lot of fun. Usually at these events there are lots of tears, but good tears, emotional tears, because as people come through from the spirit world and they give clear and precise information that they really are here, that it really is them. Even if you personally don't get a message, I think every single person in the audience somehow gets a message, whether it's directly for them or whether it's vicariously through the person who's sitting next to you is getting the message, or through the person who's sitting on the opposite side of the room getting a message. When you come away from an event such as this, and I'm only speaking in my events, I'm not talking about other people's events. I can't speak to other people's experiences, but when you come to an event of mine, there is no doubt you will go away feeling definitely enlightened, definitely a little bit, wow, did she really say that's that personal? Did she really tell me that? How could she know that? People go away sometimes bemused, but awed and excited, and with a knowledge that there really is a life after death and that we don't die. And that's my intent. I have been known for years and years and years and years, from the very beginning almost, when the first news article went out, I was called the voice of the spirit world, and I've been known to be called that, the voice. I am the voice of the spirit world, and I try to be their voice. One of the reasons when people come on this show and they say, is there a message for me, or can you give me a message for so and so, it's so easy for me. If I wanted to make it up, if I wanted to make myself look good, I could easily do that by giving glib answers. But I am the voice of the spirit world, and I take that very, very responsibly. I try, when I connect with the spirit world, I see people, I hear them, they talk to me, we have conversations. You will never ever hear me do this or see me do this. Wait a minute, they are telling me. If you ever hear anybody saying that to you, they are telling me this, walk away. It's not true. It might be sort of true. There might be a little bit of knowledge there. But what I do is I connect with people in the spirit world. I see them. We have conversations. We go back and forth with these conversations. If I tell you something that this person is saying and I get it a little bit wrong, they're going to tell me, no, I didn't say that, Rosemary. I said this. Or no, I didn't mean that, Rosemary. I meant this. It's a connection. It's a conversation that we have. Myself and those in the spirit world, we connect and we join. There is none of this, I feel they're saying this to me, or I feel they're telling me this, or I feel something around me that's, I feel there's somebody behind me. I'm not doing that. If there's somebody standing behind me in the spirit world, they better come and show their face to me, because that's what I want. I demand from them. I'm a bit of a pain in the butt for them, I'm sure. Grey Eagles are laughing at me, but I want to have that connection as clear as possible and to be as precise as possible. And Grey Eagle helps me towards that end. So if for some reason somebody's a little bit nervous about coming forward, Grey Eagle helps them and I help them to come forward to talk to me. And we get it as clear as possible. So that's what we will be doing on November the 19th. We will be, keeping my fingers crossed, we will be talking directly to the spirit world and getting their take on whatever it is we need to get their take on. And they will be there, and I will be the, if you like, the conduit between those two worlds. I will be the one they need to come through to tell you what it is they're saying, what it is they'd like us to know, and so on and so forth. So, I did have a little glimpse at, can't believe this is happening again. Who knows who's, let me put it this way, who knows who else is going to be there. I know my spirit guide Grey Eagle will be there because I will be there. So we know we have him, so we can ask some tough questions of him. Many times when I've done events like this, I've seen angels surrounding the room, or I've seen angels standing next to somebody. Many times when I've given healing in a room such as this, because somebody might say, Rosemary, I'm sick and I need healing, so I get all of the audience to help as we give healing. And on those occasions, I have seen Jesus Christ with me, standing with me, helping me to give healing. But the way that things have been going the last 2 or 3 months, I can't promise you that Jesus Christ will come into that room with us and talk to us. I can't promise that at all. But as a very, very ancient old man once told me so many years ago when I first started this work, he said to me, we never know who's coming, and we never know that. We might know who we want to be there, but whatever happens, there's no harm in asking. So I'm asking for maybe something special maybe to happen. I can't guarantee it. Something special will happen anyway, because those in the spirit world will come to us and they'll talk to us and they'll give us their messages and they'll give us their take on the afterlife, and maybe they'll be answering the question, how do we eat, and if we eat, what do we eat? Do we go fishing? Craig says, and maybe they'll give us their take on that. So something special will happen, but I'm always hopeful for the most special. So that's what we'll be doing November the 19th. I know some of you are thinking, should I or shouldn't I, will I or won't I? Don't leave it till the last minute, please, because, we need to sort of get our ducks in a row. We need to sort out what we're doing. And as I've said, if you are a subscriber to my newsletter, all of those, you get a discount. First of all, if you subscribe to my newsletter, when you book your ticket, there's a discount, and which is, that's worth knowing. So when you book your tickets, just be clear, I am a subscriber. That gives you the discount, and also if you want to put your name down on the list for doing something with me afterwards, playing afterwards, or meeting up the next day for you never know what can happen, right? So put your name down for any extracurricular activities that we might be thinking of. Put your name down for that as well. Okay, Chris.
All right. This is from Abigail. You had answered her question about coming to Italy. She
Yeah.
says, "Thank you. I hope some organization will invite you. Do you have any news from my nephew, Nikita, who left this world 2 years ago in a very tragic way?"
Um, it, oh, right. I do, as a matter of fact, have something. Not quite sure, Abigail, what, but I do have something. Um, now, you told me that it was tragic. You should never tell people like me anything like that. I mean, I could be a fake, right? You never know, I could be a fake, but you know I'm not really, but still, I could be. Okay, so let's just look at this, take a minute to look at this, because Grey Eagle tells me that um, there was a lot of stuff going on prior to this boy's death. And I use the word death loosely because I don't believe in death or dying, but still to explain this. So prior to his passing, there was an awful lot of angst and upset and worry concerning this boy and somehow the boy's family. Now, this is to me, it's a very intriguing situation because I'm seeing and hearing lots of things here. I think, Abigail, the way you would get the most out of this is if you would to book an appointment, because there's so much going on here and there's too much to say on this show. Suffice it to say, though, yeah, there's something about the family as well, which anyway, I can get carried away. Let's not do that. So now I'm caught up in this. Suffice it to say, I'm told that he is okay. That whatever he was involved with has lessened. I'm told also that he's getting help, that he's doing really well. That's as much as I can say right now. I hope I haven't confused you. It would be good to know if I haven't. Also, the other message I gave to that poor woman who was expecting a message from her husband, I don't know if she responded back, if she knows what I'm talking about or not. It's always good to have feedback. Chris.
Yeah, we have not heard back. But with regard to your event, Jeff, your friend from Maine, says, "I was a skeptic until actually having counsel with Rosemary. Factual evidence eliminated any doubt."
Yes, I'm thinking of the window, Jeff. Poor Jeff got outed by his son to his wife. Jeff and his wife Andrea came to see me for a consultation, and he was outed by his son. I'm sure, Jeff, you don't mind me saying this, when his son described that the window that he put in, I don't know if you put it in, changed it, or whatever it was you were doing to it, but the window was off kilter, let's say. It was not properly centered, and you couldn't tell if you didn't know. And Jeff's wife Andrea was perfectly happy with everything until her son from the spirit world said, yeah, but it isn't right because it's not centered at all. And so he outed his dad. I don't know, Jeff. I can't remember if you had to go back and redo the window. I can't remember. But anyway, you need to be very careful when you're getting messages from the spirit world, because yeah, they can really out you. They can really, I mean, it wouldn't be the first time that somebody in the spirit world is through me giving a message to a family member and saying, you need to vacuum under the bed because it's really, really dusty under there. They out you, they're not afraid to say to you, you know, she left the kitchen with all the dishes in the sink. She didn't wash them before she came here. You know, that sort of thing. Anyway, small things, little things, but big things as well. Okay, Chris.
So Lori is responding saying, "Thank you. Yes, you spoke about my husband. Just feeling so blessed to have you mention him. Just
No,
love hearing anything."
no, Laurie. I have to correct you. In this particular instance, I didn't speak about your husband. If you remember, I said Graham is pointing out a man who came to talk to us. And so I didn't speak about him. I spoke to him. And it was he who was describing the stuff that went on with him prior to his passing. So please don't think that this was something that happened between Grey Eagle and I. Your husband was here and present and still is smiling at me as we're talking and correcting you. He is here with us this morning. And as I said earlier, I try to explain this to people, but it's hard because people don't always grasp what I'm saying. When I'm saying I see your husband, when I say I'm listening to him and he's telling me things, we are having directly, he and I, a conversation. He's explaining to me and trying to describe to me, knowing he's only got this short a time, by the way, he's trying to describe to me what exactly happened to him, so that you will know that it's him, so that you will understand this is who I'm talking to. I'm not talking about him. I'm talking with him. I'm talking to him. And this is what I try to say to people. Please, please, please don't talk about our loved ones in the spirit world as if they're in the past, as if, you know, that was the then and this is now, because no, they are then and they are now and they are in our future too. And as I'm saying this to you, this lovely man is adding to his message to you, which says, and he always will be there with you and sharing your future with you. Don't think that he's gone away from you, because he's very much there with you at this moment. Chris.
Linda says, "My friend Eileen is in hospice. It looks like she will be crossing over very soon. I'm just asking for prayers for a peaceful journey back home."
Without a doubt, Chris, if you could write the name down, and absolutely, we are definitely sending our daily prayers. We do, excuse me, we do send out our prayers. We have our Healing Minute, 11 a.m. Wherever you are in the world, it's your 11 a.m., your time, 11 a.m. And collectively, we join together, all of us around the world. We call it Hands Around the World. And if you want to join Hands Around the World, all you have to do is to, as the clock is approaching 11, you stop at what you're doing. It's only going to take you 2 minutes to do this, by the way. You don't need to stop and set a half an hour to one side. Just at 11 o'clock, just pay attention, join with me, join forces with me, with our group. You simply say, please allow me, dear God, please allow me to join with Rosemary to within the Healing Minute, and to send healing to all of those who need it. And if you have a specific or particular person that you would like to mention in that Healing Minute, that is the moment that you do that. I think it took me a minute to say that to you. That's all it's going to take you. Just place yourself in that mode of thinking. Connect with your own spirit, connect with your own soul, connect with that universal God force that is out there. Dear God, please allow me to join in the Healing Minute with Rosemary, Hands Around the World with Rosemary, and send out healing to whoever might need it. You take a moment to let that sink in. You take a moment to let that energy flow out, and then you can get on with doing what you were doing. Chris.
Rhonda says, "Good morning, Rosemary. 2 of my darling cats passed this week. Can you see my darlings?"
Oh gosh. I'd love to say yes. I'm sure they're safe. I'm sure they are well. I'm sure they're okay too. That's tough. That's really tough for you. My heart goes out to you with this. Please don't worry about them. Grable tells me that they're happy and playing. So that's a good thing. Okay, Chris.
So you're right at 12. Jeff did respond back that he did move the window.
Yeah, I did wonder, because knowing Andrea, she likes things to be just right. And so poor Jeff, after his consultation and having been outed by his son, you see, now here's a good reason for you not to come on our event, for our event, because you might have secrets and you might not want the spirit world to let the world know your secrets. I promise you, with your secrets, you are safe. And, although I joke about, those in the spirit world outing you if you're doing something naughty or doing something wrong, they always do it in a way that nobody else will know what they're talking about. Only you will know what they're talking about. So please don't be afraid to come in case you're outed for any reason. All right. So with that said, thanks to Jeff for that reminder, just to let you all know. You would think it's such a little thing, a window, isn't it? You would think, why would Jeff's son come and talk about the window? Well, because he wants Jeff to know that he was there with Jeff when he was putting in the window, probably hiding his eyes and saying to Jeff, don't do it, don't do it. Anyway, our loved ones in the spirit world, they find every opportunity in every way they can to let us know that they are with us. All right, so it is 12 o'clock, so we have to unfortunately close for the day. Let me think. We shall be back next Thursday, same time, same place. It'll go really fast, won't it? Because this week went really fast. We shall be, also, we're planning all sorts of other things to do. I shall be in New York for the next 3 or 4 weeks, maybe a little bit longer, but then we're going to be going back to doing our stuff that we do. We're going to be doing our Cracking Up show. We're going to be doing our tutorials, and I hope you're up for those, because the tutorials, we're going to be talking about, what is psychometry, or what does energy mean, or we're going to be talking about astral travel. We're going to be talking about all of the things that you're curious about that nobody's ever been quite able to answer before for you. We're going to be doing all these tutorials because my idea is to help you all to get a better and a greater understanding of the spirit world and all of that it entails. And there are so many facets to this, this complete total subject. There's so many different facets, and we're going to cover as many of them as we possibly can. So if you have a question or something that you want to know, or something, you're not quite sure how it works, or you're in doubt about something, please email us and let us know, and we will try. If you put tutorial in your subject line, we'll try and address as much as we can, your queries, your concerns, and we'll try to give you a greater understanding of the subject, that your particular facet of the subject that you're interested in. So I think that's it for today. I'd like to say thank you to Gregor for being here with us. I would like to say thank you to Chris, as always, doing a great job. I'd like to say thank you to all of you once again for supporting and being there for us. We really appreciate it. I'm going to ask if you know of anyone who might benefit from coming to our event in November. Please share this video as much as you can. Don't keep it to yourself, because we're trying to reach as many people as we possibly can out there. So until we meet again next week, please, everybody, have a very, very blessed rest of the day, and have a